Hey guys, it's me, Carrie. I was planning on shooting a lip balm review video today because I haven't shot one in quite a long time. If you're familiar with this channel and my quest to start cutting back on the amount of things I collect and hoard, you can put quotes around hoard, but really I'm a bit of a hoarder. So I haven't been buying lip balms in a while, but I received 5 really, really awesome ones in a friend mail from my friend Janie the other day, and I'm excited to review them for you guys. I know a lot of you guys really enjoy those videos, and I will be reviewing one in the video after this. But I felt compelled first to shoot what I'm shooting right now, which is basically just a little vloggy, catching up on where my mental state is, just dealing with depression and anxiety video. If that's not your cup of tea, feel free to click off and watch something more fun and, I don't know, watch cute kids open toys or watch cat videos or whatever makes you happy. But if you are one of the 1 in 5 people that is suffering from a mental illness on this planet, then maybe you'll want to stick around and just listen for a little while. And if you're one of those lucky 4 who does not fall into that category, maybe you'll want to listen anyway, because maybe chances are someone that you know and love is suffering, and you may not quite understand what it's all about. I'm by no means a professional. I'm just someone who's 45 years old and saw my first therapist at age 7, which is really atypical. Not so much now, maybe, but for a little girl in 1980 to be in therapy when her parents were still married, because generally back then the only time a kid went to a therapist is if their parents were divorcing or if they had a death in the family. I feel like, I mean, again, that's just my uneducated opinion, but it feels like I didn't really know any other kids that were in therapy unless their parents were divorcing or something. And I came from a very lovely, intact home. There was no abuse, fortunately. There was no divorce. There was no death until my dad passed away when I was 26, so certainly not in my childhood. It was just really not a common thing for a 7-year-old to be in therapy. But I would assume it's because even from that early age, my parents knew that there was something off with me, that I just didn't behave like a typical little girl did. I wasn't happy-go-lucky. I mean, I was at times. I played with my Barbies and I had my toys, and sorry for the loud train, whatever, and the crazy birds. Um, I mean, I had happy moments in my childhood. I can't say it was just like a, doom and gloom pit of despair 24/7, but like I said, if at age 7 my parents thought to put me in therapy, there must have been something going on even back then. And it is my belief that you are pretty much born with mental illness, and it may be better or worse depending on the environment you grow up in. I think there's both nature and nurture involved in mental illness, but definitely both. I don't think someone just becomes depressed over time unless it's situational, with the example, most obvious probably example being like postpartum depression. I think that can be triggered by a specific event, and it is something that you can get through and get past and go on with your life as you did before. But in my case, I believe that I was born with depression and anxiety. It is not something I can ever fully recover from, though I consider myself in the recovery, in quotes, process. Every day, honestly, that I don't, I don't know. I'm torn about how much in depth to talk about this, because I know some young people watch this channel too, but I also know that there are stories in the news of children in the single digits committing suicide, so I'm not going to skirt the issue. The fact that I haven't killed myself yet means that I'm in recovery, means that I'm still fighting the good fight. And every day that I'm still here, I'm still fighting that fight. Some days with more success than others. Today I'm still in pajamas. My mom and I usually go out to dinner on Saturday evenings when she gets home from work, and I will probably just go in my pajamas. I mean, to be honest, this is like an Old Navy flannel. I mean, thermal. It's not like I wore this yesterday, like as regular clothes with the bra and stuff. And I'm just wearing fleece pants. So, I mean, for me to go out to like fast food, I'll just wear this out and I don't really give a crap. Probably just throw a jacket over the top. It's easier than putting a bra on and just go out to dinner like this. I really don't care. But other than that, I have no grand ambitions of doing anything today. It's about 2 now. I woke up around 11-ish, I guess. It's the first night in quite a while that I felt like I got a pretty decent night's sleep. So yay for that. Because that's another fun part of depression and anxiety, and probably all mental illness, is having issues with your sleep cycle, on oversleeping, not getting enough sleep, not getting good restful sleep. I mean, I can legitimately stay in bed for 14 hours, quote unquote, sleeping, and wake up and still be exhausted because I have so much anxiety that even when I'm dreaming, I'm freaking worrying about things. So yeah, I'm really just blue today. I don't have any specific reason why. I mean, there's been circumstances going on in my life that have been sad. On Monday, a cat that I absolutely adored at the rescue shelter where I volunteer had to be put to sleep. He was 18 years old and he was not in great health, and you know, it was a heartbreaking decision our director had to make. And I'm really sad about that because I honestly feel like I couldn't have loved Ash more if he had been my own cat. Everybody at the rescue pretty much feels that way. He was like our little mascot. He was the elder statesman, you know, the oldest cat, the oldest animal we had. And I'm really sad about that. I just had a lot on my mind, just general worries. The same shit that I worry about literally every day of my life. The guilt I feel for not being able to hold down a job. The guilt I feel that my husband and I struggle massively financially because I'm not contributing to our resources. The terror that I feel when I think back to the last time I attempted to work, which was in 2010, and I made it 4 days at a grocery store and screamed and cried and was in hysterics every morning before I had to go in. 3 of those 4 days, mind you, was only training, so I wasn't even actually doing work yet. And I was hysterical and screamed at my husband, please, please, please don't make me go. I want to run out in traffic. Please, please, please don't make me go. And, you know, I went and I got through it. And after day 4, which was legitimately my first day of actual work, I said, oh, hell no, I can't do this. And I simply just didn't go back. I didn't even call in. I didn't say I quit. I just didn't go back. And then I realized, well, that was pretty stupid because if I want to get paid for the 4 days I was there, I'm going to have to go in and get the check. They're not going to mail it to me. So I felt really stupid and embarrassed having to go in and do that. And I'd never done that before in my life. I've had many, many jobs over the years, starting at the time I was 16 years old. But as the years have gone on, my depression and anxiety have worsened greatly. You would think that as you get older, you maybe would get more of a handle on it and be able to function better. And God forbid I didn't have my husband. I mean, I literally don't know where I would be. We're actually living in my mom's house. We don't pay rent, but we pay utilities and we assist with, you know, whatever financial stuff we can. We, meaning my husband. I mean, if I didn't have him and we didn't both have my mom, I don't know where the hell we'd be. I'd be homeless on the streets, no doubt. I really, honestly, truly believe that. I mean, I have maybe friends that would probably take me in and have pity on me because she's just amazing and she's got a big house and she lives alone, although currently she has 2 people living with her, but they're not like, you know, co-owners of the house or anything. Again, it's like the home for wayward fuck-ups, and she takes on, you know, people that need a place to stay, and she's amazing. And I say fuck-ups in the most loving way because I certainly classify myself as one of them too. So, I mean, I guess worst case scenario, at least for a temporary period of time, I would live with her, I guess. But hopefully I'll never have to know what it's like to not have my husband and, you know, my mom's place. But I'm really, really, really embarrassed by the fact that I don't work. It bothers me to no end. And a lot of people that don't understand mental illness just think, oh, poor baby, your life is so rough. You sit home all day and do nothing and you don't even have any responsibilities. I really feel sad for you. And it's like, dude, you know how quickly, like in a heartbeat, I would trade places with you, and how badly I want to be a normal functioning individual that does have a job and that does contribute to the world and that does have money to spend on things. The only right I have money to spend on things is the pennies I earn from this channel once in a rare blue moon when somebody buys something from Persevering Pretties, my Facebook jewelry shop, and savings that I've had since I did work. I mean, I literally, you know, I would sock away money, and it's not by any means a lot of money, but I think the most expensive thing, other than my car that I bought 18 years ago, and I'm still driving, by the way, it's a 20-year-old car. I knock wood every day that, he lasts another day. But the most expensive thing I think I've ever bought myself in my whole entire life was a pair of earrings for $100 when I got my first quote unquote real full-time job when I was a paralegal when I was about 26 years old. I'm not extravagant. You see me with all these things, and a lot of them are gifted to me. A lot of them I get at the thrift store, and some of them, yes, I spend some of my little pathetic savings on, or my husband or my mom will get me little treats or whatever, but I by no means go out and spend a lot of money. I live a very, very thrifty lifestyle. Those of you who are friends with me on social media and think, oh my gosh, you're always drinking Starbucks or you're always at Dunkin'. Hello, gift cards, Christmas presents. You know, I don't ask for things for Christmas other than gift cards so that during the course of the year I can feel like a normal functioning person and say, hey, you know what, if I want a fucking caramel macchiato, I can go treat myself to one because I have a gift card and I don't have to spend $5 out of my own pocket. I don't by any means have a lot of money, and I feel awful guilt almost constantly because so much of that is my own fault. And I know it's my disease, and I know that if, I could be working, I would be. I would love to be. I write still all the time, and my husband says, why aren't you submitting your writing places and trying to get it published? But it's incredibly difficult when your main milieu is poetry. I mean, do you honestly see a lot of, traveling minstrels making it these days as a poet? Not many. If you see a poetry book get published in this day and age, generally it's because somebody like Jewel or whatever, that's already famous decides, hey, I want to try being a poet today. So, it's really, really, really hard. And if any of you guys have any resources that you can suggest, please feel free to comment them in the drop box or in the comments down below, because I would love to know what resources you know of. And the problem is there are lots of resources, but very few are legit. Like, you'll enter the writing contest and they'll say, congratulations, you've made it to the next phase of judging. All you have to do is buy this $50 anthology book, and then we'll move you on to the next phase of the judging process. And it's like, oh, okay, pyramid scheme, scam, awesome. I've fallen for those a couple times, and I've never once had a legitimate contest that I've entered. Well, no, once I entered a legitimate contest and they said thanks but no thanks, and I honestly realized even when I entered it that it was not really the right forum for me. It was something called button poetry, and button poetry, if you've not heard of it, if you just type it in the search bar here on YouTube, you'll see tons of button poetry poets, and they basically do like stage shows where they'll like recite their poetry like by heart, and they present it on a stage, and it's these long lyrical poems. And I mean, I write poems that can be as short as haiku, maybe 6-8 stanzas. I mean, I write very brief pieces for the most part, and I wouldn't be able to know it by heart to stand on a stage and read it. So I don't think that, button was the right forum for me. But a friend mentioned the contest. I said, what the hell? It's an excuse to compile my work. And yeah, I can't then say I never entered anything. So, so I did that, but it really wasn't the right forum for me. I mean, my dream is to be a published author, and, primarily poetry. My nightmare is being Emily Dickinson, and people discover all my poetry and think, wow, she's a genius, and they publish it and it becomes beloved and taught in universities after I'm dead. But knowing my luck, that's just exactly how it will go. But anyway, I mean, that's the only thing I really feel like I have talent at, and it's not an easy way to earn a living, suffice it to say, at least from my experience and the bit of research that I've done on it. So, yeah, that's a huge trigger for me. And then I'll go, I don't know, social media is like such a double-edged sword for me. If not for social media, I really wouldn't have more than 2 or 3 friends. So, I mean, it saves my life in that regard. But at the same time, social media is not always the place where people share their 100% unvarnished selves. They tend to share their best selves. So when I look and I see friends that are like constantly taking vacations, they're always at theme parks, they're always, doing all these fun, amazing adventures, I just think to myself, why the hell am I so shitty that I can't afford to do any of this stuff? And my husband goes, "Psst, I know the answer. It's credit cards." And I know that that's to a large degree true. I do not use credit cards, like, at all, ever. I have in the past. I hate them. I literally hate them. I don't like being beholden to anyone. I don't like owing anyone anything, including a credit card company, which is part of my thriftiness. If I can't pay in cash for something right then, NOW, I just don't need to have it. Even using my debit card for things other than taking cash out at the ATM, like, gives me, agita. I hate doing it. So, obviously that severely limits the number of things you can do in life. But it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, when I see my friends having all these amazing good times and traveling the world. And I've never left the East Coast of the United States, with the exception of 2 trips to California and 2 trips to Michigan. So, I've never left the U.S. I've never seen a vast majority of even my own beautiful country. And it hurts. It hurts. It's hard not to be jealous. It's hard not to feel like, why them and not me? Why are they good and why am I bad? Because I can't just simply say, well, logic dictates, Carrie, that, in this family, it's a 2-parent household where both of them have jobs and therefore they can afford to do more things. And you don't know that they're not in debt up to their asses because they think, I just want to do it now and I'll worry about paying it off later. You don't know. You don't know any of that. All I think is, they do the things I want, therefore they're good and worthy, and I can't do those things, and therefore I'm bad and unworthy, and the shame spiral just continues and continues and continues. So it's really, really a challenge just to get up in the morning a lot of the time, and I have been getting up. I can honestly not even recall the last time that I spent the entire day in bed. I have, certainly in my life, but I couldn't even venture a guess as to when the last time was. So, I guess yay me for that. Excuse me, sorry. But, I don't know. It's tough. It's something that I work on in therapy. I'm fortunate enough now that even though I'm on Medicaid, Emblem Health through Medicaid, a dear friend of mine who I've known since I was like 5 years old, who happens to be a social worker based out of Connecticut now, found me this incredible social worker who is my therapist that I've been seeing for almost 3 years. And you don't know how much I beat down doors and how many phone calls I made to try to find anyone in the state of New York that would accept me with my type of insurance. And the minute I mentioned it, they just simply didn't return my voicemail. So I'm so grateful to have a therapist. I'm so grateful to have meds, even though they're probably not the best meds for me, because, again, good old Medicaid, you can't get in to see a psychiatrist because they all want to be paid cash out of pocket, and I certainly can't afford to pay someone $500 to sit with them for an hour and go, okay, well, let me see which meds might be best for you. And honestly, it's trial and error anyway. I've been on 5 different antidepressants in my life, only one anti-anxiety med, and that's only because this first therapist that I've ever seen out of the probably upwards of 20 that I've seen in my life, this therapist was the first one that said, you know what, Carrie, you're not just depressed, you have anxiety too. And I was like, oh my God, holy crap, light bulb moment. So I also take a pill now for anti-anxiety. And ideally, it's supposed to also help me sleep. It doesn't always, but whatever. I was taking melatonin for a couple of years, and that was helping. But like most meds, you eventually, even if it's like an herbal natural remedy, you plateau and you get so much of it built up in your system that becomes ineffective. And my dear friend Needy, who actually is a dentist in India, pointed out to me that in the specific instance of melatonin, that if you take it long enough, eventually it becomes literally counterintuitive and it can give you insomnia. So it's like, okay, crap, I'm gonna have to stop taking that and find something else. But right now I am on an anti-anxiety med, Klonopin, generic, of course, nothing less than the second best for me. And I am on Prestige, which I get through a financial assistance program through Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. If you are out there and you are in desperate need of meds and you can't get into a psychiatrist, but you have a general practitioner who knows you and is willing to prescribe, and it just so happens that the medication is on the Pfizer list, Google, I think it's called Pathways to Care, but it's through Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, and in many instances there are a lot of different medications that are covered on there. If the med you need doesn't happen to be available generic, which Prestige is not, it can't hurt if you are of a low income family to apply for the program and see if you can get your meds that way. This is something that I didn't know about until 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, when I started taking it again. I was taking it in Florida when we used to live there, and my husband had good health insurance and a good job. But it's definitely worth looking into. Again, I think it's Pathways to Care, but just Google Pfizer, Pfizer, I believe, and financial assistance program, and you may be able to get meds either discounted or free as well. It's been a lifesaver for me. I can't even begin to tell you how much that's helped. But yeah, even with meds and even with therapy and even with a wonderful loving husband and a terrific mom and a roof over our heads and 2 cats that I adore, I am an incredibly unhappy person most of the time. And there's really not a whole hell of a lot I can do about that. So if you are in that same boat, please, 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 as much it's easy for me to tell you guys all the things that I wish I could believe myself, but I swear to God, don't blame yourself. There's only so much you can do. If you're, it's like if you're saddled with any other type of illness, you follow the prescribed courses of treatment. Maybe for you it's pharmaceuticals, maybe it's natural remedies and homeopathic remedies, maybe it's acupuncture, maybe it's meditation, whatever the hell works for you. As long as you're not harming anybody or harming yourself, I have no judgment. Do whatever the hell it takes to make your life easier and more bearable. But know that it's not your fault any more than being born with diabetes or being born with leukemia or being born with a heart condition. None of those things are your fault. That's just the way you were made. And many of these things don't have cures. They just have courses of treatment that allow you to continue to exist to the best of your ability. I know that I can't be cured of depression. I know I can't be cured of anxiety. I would love to see that happen at some point in the future, where there's, a shot that you can get, like for, I don't know, polio, that makes you, suddenly immune and you can't get it. But I don't see that ever happening. There's so many different types of mental illness, and there's so many different levels. I liken it to autism, which I know very little about, but obviously I've heard the term autism spectrum, and I know that there's, that their symbol is the puzzle and the rainbow, because there's just countless types of autism you can have, and there's so many levels of autism you can have, and levels of function, and treatments that work for some but not for others, and people that can live far more productive lives than others. And the fact of the matter is, though, I don't believe that there's a cure for autism. Some people think that there are cures. I don't know, Jenny McCarthy says, don't get vaccines, do this, and now my kid is cured. I don't think her kid is cured. I think her kid may be asymptomatic right now, and if he's cured, that's wonderful. But there are certain diseases, whether they're of the mind or the body, your mind is still part of your body, let's remember that, people, that just simply cannot be cured. They can only be treated and, monitored. And there's only a certain level. I may never reach a level of 10 happiness. More than likely I won't. If I can do better than a 5, that's great. Generally, I'm below a 5. If I can do a 5 or higher, hey, I consider myself lucky. 6, 7 level of happiness would be awesome for me. Level 10, I don't think I've ever experienced in my life. Probably not even a 9 or an 8. But like I said, I haven't killed myself yet. So yay for that. Gold star for Carrie. But yeah, I don't know why I felt compelled to talk about this with you guys today. I don't know if any of this is even making sense, or I'm just randomly blathering at this point, so I'm going to shut up. But know that if you do suffer from mental illness, you are far from alone. As I said, as far as I know, the latest statistics that I've read, quote, 1 in 5 people worldwide suffers from some type of a mental illness. But yet we still feel compelled to hide in closets and keep our mouths shut and, you know, feel ashamed and feel a stigma. And that has to stop. That really, really has to stop, because part of what makes mental illness so incredibly debilitating is the fear of sharing it and the isolation that it brings on. It makes so many people feel that it's something they have to deal with by themselves because other people will judge them. And people will judge because people are assholes sometimes. I've certainly been judged. I'm sure people watching this video will probably judge. I would hope not, but you never know, you know. This is why I often say I like people a lot more than animals. They're a lot, animals rather, are a lot more than people. They're a lot more honest. But just know you're not alone. Know that there are so many people out there suffering with you. I mean, like, you know, I've said many times in the past, if you're standing in a room with 10 people, odds are there's at least one other person in that room that's suffering from a mental illness if you are. There's, you know, possibly more, but chances are, out of those other 9 people, there's at least one other person that's going through the same disease or family of diseases that you are. So know that you're not alone. Know that it's not a character flaw. You're not a bad person because you're sick, any more than somebody's a bad person because they have cancer or lung disease or, you know, whatever they may have. Illness doesn't strike you because you're bad. It just strikes you because you're unlucky, and that's just the lot in life you get. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this is impactful for at least somebody out there, and please feel free to leave comments down below. Please make them supportive. If they're negative and nasty, they'll get deleted anyway, and I don't know. I really can't comprehend the type of human, in quotes, that gets their rocks off by bringing someone down, especially when they're being incredibly vulnerable and open and honest and simply just trying to help others. So keep the negativity somewhere else, please. Preferably just make it disappear, because there's enough negativity on this planet as it is. But I love you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day, and I'll be back soon with my lip balm review and in the future with more stuff. Bye.